Welcome back to Jacqueline Arts, and today I want to talk about my semester project that I did for my first semester in college. It was with an art intro class dealing with the basics of art. We had to choose an artist or a piece of work that we felt inspired by and use it as a basis to create another piece of work. It was using it like as a reference tool. I was personally inspired by Chuck Close, Charles Close, who is still alive and still working today. Chuck Close does very large pieces of art. The piece that I'm inspired by is after he has been in a wheelchair, so he is unable to stand up and paint these large pieces of art, so he has very big contraptions that come down and he paints very up close, as his name implies. I could never do that. I'm personally inspired by the talent that Chuck Close has at being able to understand how colors work together in the big picture, literally, in a large painting. And so I wanted to try out that technique in a smaller scale, which is pretty ambitious. I knew that from the beginning, but I was so ready to do this because I'd always wanted to think about doing a piece like that, because it's just such a unique technique that I just wanted to try it out. So I was going feet first and I started it off, and I kept going until I realized, wow, it's going to take a long time. And I started off, with taking a picture. I did an up-close portrait because he always does portraits, and I was playing off his name, Close, and how he works up close. And so I did self-portrait, which, as you will see in the end, it kind of looks like me, I think. There's little glitches. And I started off with a bit of background because do the easy part first, as they say. So I did this really psychedelic, ombre effect thing with shapes on top, which is kind of reminiscent of what Chuck Close does, which is multiple shapes in his little grid pieces. And well, first of all, I did a wackadoodle grid. I chose the hardest grid ever to paint in. I should just started with a square grid instead of a rhombus grid. But I didn't, and I was stuck with it once I did the background and was this far along. I went in, did the background first, I did that all in like an hour, and I was like, oh, this won't be too bad. And then I got to the face, and I was like, oh no, I don't know how to do this. It's going to be trial and error. And so it was. So I used the base, I used some images that I got from the internet looking at Chuck Close's work. And I realized that he starts with whatever color he feels will be right in this. I only have so many colors in my brain or in my palette, and so I was mixing lots of different colors and putting them randomly and thinking, well, this is a shadow, so I'm going to put the cooler colors, the blues and the purples over here, maybe some greens. Greens don't really work well on skin. And then putting the dark colors in the shadows. I tried not to do too much dark. I wanted to do more bright and happy colors because I want to come over with the more neutral colors. And it turned out it was just all trial and error, I filled in these little squares forever, and then when I came around, I pretty much covered them all up. And all my hard work was lost. But it wasn't. Because the color showed through the second layer of paint, and it was magical. And that's what I was going for. Some differences from the way that Chuck Close actually paints that I deviate from was that he always uses the grid line as a line between shapes. Shapes were not defined by the grid line completely because I felt like that would get lost in my small scale painting, that it would be too abstract. I probably could have done it. My face would have been more blocky. It would have had more jag than the smooth round silhouette of it, and the nose, I just felt that I wasn't ready for that to be too abstract. I wanted my teacher to realize my skill and that I did look at this artist, but that I also understood my ability to transfer an image. I'm a very realistic artist. as you can probably see in most of my works shown in the portfolio video and from my veggies video. So deviating from what I visually see into what what my receptors and my creative brain see, it's very difficult. But I feel like that I did this with a good intention, and it turned out as I, not as I envisioned, because I didn't envision what it was going to turn out. I just knew that it was going to be different. And it is, but it's not too different. I might even do this project again one day and go all out. Go abstract and just don't even care if it looks like anything in the end, but be free. But as I went on and did the details, I was happy that it was so fun, because the little details, it was time consuming and my hand would start to hurt. But in the end, it just made it look so much more magical. Because as we are all made up of shapes. Whether small or big, like skin cells, or just shapes piled up on top of each other. Our eyeballs are circles, and our eyebrows are arches. They're beautiful arches to frame our beautiful faces. And as they all come together, they make a silhouette that is appealing to our eyes. But when I broke up these shapes and took them apart and put them over here, well, I didn't really take these apart, but when I zoomed in and went, it still created a beautiful silhouette that was appealing to the eye, and even though the face was broken up, it was still a face. From up close, it was a lot of beautiful colored shapes, but from far away, it was Jacqueline. And I have to say, my favorite part of all was the nose. I really like noses. I'm a big nosed girl, and so whenever I can, I like to slim my nose, but here it was like, bam, my nose was like the center of the picture. But that wasn't really a problem, because noses are so defined and round that it was so cool to be able to use shapes to highlight and use shapes to define around my nose, my nostrils. Because I think noses are great assets to the face. Because if we didn't have them, I mean, you need that nose to be like, where are you going? I'm going that way. The nose is like your compass. The nose is the compass of the face. Not that I have any directional sense, because my nose never tells me where I'm going. Neither does my brain. I think it all kind of comes together. And it's really cool because I got to use a rainbow of color. Because rainbow is my favorite color. If you ever meet anybody and they want to know my favorite color, because that's the first thing you do when you talk to someone, it's rainbow. Really proud of this project. I wish I had it here in person to show you, but I hope these photos will be good enough. And I hope that if Chuck Close saw it, that he would also be proud of how I used his technique to complete this project. And that's all I have to say. If you would also like to do a project like this, inspired by Chuck Close painting, I have the deets. You just need paint, some time, effort, ruler. Ruler is always good. So, if you want to see my beautiful face again, continue to look at this picture, or come back next week, or watch the videos I already have, because 52 weeks of fun is just getting started here at Jacqueline Arts, and I'll be reporting back from this dorm room all year. Well, the dorm room might change, but I'll still be here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.